Hey, it's Rebecca, and today we're going to be talking about Yogananda. I love this book. If you haven't read it, do yourself a favor and get it. So, a few days ago, I brought a transmission by Sri Yukteswar Yogananda, Master Mahasaya, Babaji, and Mataji. And I haven't really gotten a lot of messages from Yogananda himself. And I did just do a transmission of energy. But I said, hey, Yogananda, you want to chat? And he said, yes, I do. So I wrote it down. The easiest way to channel is to receive it in writing. That way you have it, unless you're channeling live on audio or something. But I like conversations because you get to ask the kind of things that you want to ask. So, by the way, there's a chat box. I hope you can see it. And at the end, maybe you can enter a question that you would like to have. Yogananda suggested that I do short little segments about things you might want to know. Well, here's what I wanted to know. So I say, Yogananda, do you desire to have a chat with me? And he says, yes. Do you think it's all your idea? And just in my mind, I brought up the point to him. If you've read his book, he writes so good. And, you know, we have a tendency to feel like, well, I could never write that good. He just is so effective, effusive, and flowery. So he said, I will use very plain English. Thank you, Yogananda. Your channels are already filled with light and prepared for this. Sri Yukteswar is standing by to help the communication go smoothly. So I ask him a question. I say, well, you know, you have millions who love you and who would like to hear about your adventures on the other side. Shall we enjoy a conversation about that? This video is part 1 with more to come. So Yogananda says, yes, I'm eager to share and be an uplifter to those who love me and to those who are just curious. Maybe you never heard of Yogananda. So I say, I know that time is different in other realms. So we take that into consideration as I ask you about your life now. Please share some of the first things you did when you first crossed the veil. And here's what he said. In actuality, I lingered in this earth plane a bit before going onward. I visited many of my grieving devotees in order to give them comfort. Many were so overcome with grief that they were unable to feel my presence. I did not completely sever the physical cord from my human body for many days on earth measured time. Even though I had many beloveds waiting for me to completely transition, I waited. I visited many places and peoples that I had touched while completely in my physical bodysuit. It was only at the insistence of my beloved Sri Yukteswar that I ascended fully into the next phase of my existence. So this made me curious. Well, Yogananda, how long did you linger in this earth plane? And he answers, about 32 days as measured in earth time. So then I say, well, what did you do after that? And he replies, I had glorious reunions with my beloved parents and families of light. There were many of my devotees who had already crossed over and were waiting for me in great joy. My spirit became refreshed and took on even more light. There's more. Yogananda continues. Know this, my crossing over was not a death. Was not a death. It was simply a continuation of my ministry. My experience on this earth plane was ended by my choice. By my acceptance that it was time to move into the next phase of my eternal calling. Oh, that gives me goosebumps. And so I say, can you tell us a bit about what you were speaking of? What is this next phase you speak of? And he says, well, yes, I will tell you that. Yet first, I desire to share about the great frolicking reunions I enjoyed. I'm going to stop here a minute and say, don't you love the thought of Yogananda frolicking? Of course, he was quite a joyful person, but we think of gurus as all serious, and especially Sri Yukteswar. For him to say he had frolicking reunions, I like that. I like that. So, he continues, frolicking about the cosmos? Oh, I say, Yogananda, you frolicking about the cosmos? Your devotees will surely love to hear about that. And he says, yes, I had a most glorious time frolicking about and even absorbing light and even more blessings from the beings of light I had admired and worshipped in my earth plane existence. Krishna, Babaji, Durga Mata, and many more desired to show me how my existence and obedience to my earthly calling had impacted them and spread much joy and knowledge in the hearts of many. Mere words cannot express the great kaleidoscope of bliss at being recognized by those one has long admired. Don't you like this guy? So then I asked him, well, Yogananda, was there any one being? Remember, I wrote this all down, that you really want to tell us about. Although I hope you will share more with us in the future. And Yogananda answers, yes. The being I desire most to tell you about right now, today, is my visit with the great Kalimata. She is one of the most powerful advocates of justice. And by the way, there's a lot of injustice in the world today. In all of the realms. Do not be afraid to call upon her. Yes, she is known as fierce, yet only in her defense and protection of those who love her and call upon her. Yogananda continues. Rebecca, I thank you for listening to the call. I have much more to share about my journeys of light across the cosmos. Yet I feel this is enough for this transmission. I am delighted to share this, and I will share much more soon. And that is what he shared for today. The wonderful, great Yogananda. Be blessed and get that book. Now, in the future, maybe real soon, he'll be sharing how he went on visits to other worlds. And he said to me, I'm still doing the same thing I did on the earth plane, only in other worlds, I'm studying about their different spiritual traditions. And the one thing I know that everyone is seeking is love. So I'll look forward to hearing specifically about that, and I'll make a video for you. In your comment section, please put whatever you might like to know about. And also, he wants you to know, and I want you to know, you don't have to have special talents to bring messages from these high beings of light. They're actually eager to transmit. One of the biggest drawbacks that prevents people from receiving messages is that they feel like they can't do it right, or they have faults or whatever. But when you allow a light being such as Yogananda, an angel, whatever, to assist you, and you have purity of heart, now that doesn't mean you don't have any earthly, human, I don't even like the word faults. I'm anti-fault. Conditions, regardless of your body conditions, your human conditions, your channel can be pure when your heart is pure. And your heart has to be pure if you're wanting to bring in messages from these beings of light. So keep that in mind, and I'll share with you shortly another video about Yogananda or someone else. If you'd like to be notified and you're not subscribed already, hit the subscription button and that little bell, and it'll let you know whenever I'm going to come live or upload a new video. This is Rebecca, and it's been my pleasure, my joy to tell you a little bit about what Yogananda is doing now, and just think of him frolicking all about the cosmos and continuing his wonderful ministry in other dimensions. Leave your comments and be blessed.